The browser is the natural environment for JavaScript, and modern browsers ship with development tools built right in to work with JavaScript for logging, testing, debugging, and more. Knowing how to use these development tools will make working with JavaScript much easier and more interesting. So before we start working in a code editor, let's take a look at Chrome's developer tools and the console. Either right-click anywhere in the viewport and select Inspect, or press Ctrl-Shift-I on Windows or Command-Option-I on a Mac. This opens the Chrome Dev Tools, where you can do things like inspect the DOM elements and the styles that are connected to them, run network audits, and a lot more. Right now, I want to draw your attention to the second tab called Console. Click on Console and you open the browser console as a panel. You can also open this panel directly by pressing Ctrl-Shift-J on Windows or Command-Option-J on a Mac, or open it as a drawer while viewing the Elements tab by either clicking on the Donair menu on the right-hand side and selecting Show Console Drawer, or simply hitting the Escape key on your keyboard. For now, we'll work with the console as a separate tab. The console is a command line for the browser where you can write, manage, and monitor JavaScript on the fly. We'll spend a lot of time in this console, so I want you to get acquainted with its basic functionality right now. When you open the console, there's an angle bracket and a text cursor right here in the top left-hand corner. Here, you can type in JavaScript commands that run in the browser immediately. So let's try that. First, the classic JavaScript 101 demo. Type in alert, followed by a parentheses, quotation marks, and then some sentence you want to alert out to the browser, like I love ducks. Close your quotation marks and your parentheses and hit the return key on your keyboard. Up pops a browser alert box saying I love ducks with an OK button. This is JavaScript in action. We provide some type of command to the browser in the form of a script, and the browser executes that command when we tell it to. We can also do some math here. I can say something like alert 5 plus 8, return, and we get 13. Do some more advanced math. 5 point blah times 83 point blah divided by 4.7. And here we get the result again. Let's do something a bit more complex. Using JavaScript, we can ask the browser what date and time it is right now and get it to tell us. Type in var date equals new date. And here it's important to have a capitalized D. Then hold down Shift and hit return to create a new line and type in alert. Today is plus date. Here, we're creating what's known as a variable. That is a container that just holds whatever we put in it. We give it the name date, and then we populate it with the current date object. This is something the browser holds that we can request. So we're just saying to the browser, hey, what date and time is it right now? And can you put that information inside this container? And then I'll call the container later. Then I alert out the text today is and add to it that date container. So effectively, we're alerting out today is followed by the date, which is a request for the browser's current date and time. Hit return and you see the result. Today is Monday, March 13, 2017, and this is the exact time, and it's adjusted for Pacific Daylight Time because I'm in Vancouver, Canada right now. Now you're starting to see the power of JavaScript, and you're also noticing that this alert can get really annoying because you have to keep clicking OK to close it, and it's not really doing what you want it to do. So we can do the exact same thing down here in the console, but instead of alerting out the content, we can log it in the console itself. So if instead of saying alert today is date, I can say console log today is plus date, hit return, and now it logs right here in the console. Today is exact same information, but it's not popping up in this annoying alert window. That's cool and all, but it's not happening on the web page itself. You'll notice the web page up here is still conspicuously blank. The real magic happens when we start interacting with what we see in the browser viewport. To do that, we first need to know a little bit about the structure of the HTML on the current page. So let's switch back to the Elements tab for a second. Here you see the current document contains only two things, a head element at the top and an empty body element. I want to inject some new HTML into this page using JavaScript, and that content will go between the beginning and end body tags so it'll display on the page itself. I already have this date variable, so I don't need to set that up again. What I need to do is grab the document, then get a hold of that body tag, and then add some HTML inside it. And I can do that by literally calling the document and use a dot, then body, that gives me the body element, and then find its inner HTML, so whatever is inside, and replacing it with something new. So I'll say inner HTML equals, and then I just set up my new HTML. Quotation mark, I create an h1 element, then I say the date today is plus date. Now I also have to close my h1 element, so I add another plus, and then type in quotation, h1, and end my quotation mark. When I run this, the page HTML is updated on the fly, and we see the text, the date today is, followed by the actual date and time, right here in the visual viewport. If I now go back to the Elements tab and look inside the body element, you'll see here we have an h1, but this h1 only exists in the browser right now because it was injected using JavaScript. Now that I know this works, I can improve the display of this information a bit, because right now it's kind of a big mess and it's not really easy to read. So I can go back and grab document, body, inner, HTML, equals, and then I'll change the output by reducing this information down to something more human readable. So I'll start the same way. h1, the date today is. Then I'll take the date object and use some methods on it to just grab specific pieces of information. So I'll say get month. This will give me the month number in computer terms, and you'll see what that means in a second. Then I'll add a / as plain text plus date get date. That gives me the date number. So that would be 1, 2, either 30 or 31 or 28 if it's February. And then finally, date get full year. And just like before, end my h1 element. Run this, and I now get a string that's much shorter because we grabbed the date object and reduced it down to only specific pieces of information. If you paid close attention though, you'll notice there's something really strange here. Today's date is the 13th of March, but here it says today's date is the 13th of February. Now this is a weird thing computers do sometimes. When you ask a computer to give you a list of items from 1 to 10, it'll return a list that's indexed as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And since we're asking for the month object, we're getting the number in the index. So the third month is indexed as 2 because the first month is indexed as 0. So to fix this, we need to help the JavaScript along a little bit. I'll hit the up arrow on my keyboard to get back the function we just ran in the console. Then I'll navigate back to date get month and wrap it in parentheses. And then on the other side, I'll say +1. That just adds 1 to the number, which currently is 2. And when I run this, it says correctly, the date today is March 13, 2017. The neat thing is, all of this is happening on the fly in the browser. We're not changing the HTML document. So if I reload this document right now, everything resets back to normal, a blank page and an empty console. If you feel a bit or maybe very confused right now, that's all right. Seeing JavaScript in action for the first time is kind of like looking at the pieces of a wristwatch laid out in front of you and trying to figure out how to put it all together. What I want you to walk away with right now is this simple message. The console is your JavaScript playground. This is where you get to experiment and try new things.